Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD, back for another OPTC video, and in today's video with the Kazuna Super Boss that is wrapping up against Uta 6+, or Top Musica, I thought I'd release like the final teams for the Super Boss that we actually managed to put together, with sort of like the max damage output that we could possibly come up with. So if you enjoy this kind of content, belt the like button. We all love to see big numbers. Hopefully your Super Boss runs went very, very well. Hopefully you and your alliance banded together, and you got those juicy rewards. You get the 5+ Shanks, you got that 6+ Sabo, and hopefully it bolsters your account. But if you enjoyed the video, belt the like button. If you're new to the channel, you haven't done so already, hit that big red subscribe button. But with that said, let's take a look at the end of the the end of Top Musica, the Super Boss Kazuna. Okay, so the first Super Boss is against the Int version of Uta, and this particular team hasn't actually changed since my initial Super Boss video. This particular team has just stood the test of time. The team that I built from the very beginning was the team that we sort of stuck with. We didn't really tweak it. We didn't need to tweak it. It was doing so much goddamn damage that it was kind of the one that we didn't really need to sort of look at. This particular team, as you guys will see here, is against a 1.2 times multiplier. So obviously it's got about 30% more damage in it. So, that was actually pretty wild. I did obviously want to try and get it at, like, either at 1.5, like the other two teams you'll see, or at, like, 1 times, just so you could sort of see, like a rough gauge of what the starting number would be. However, you do need to stall for the waifu special, and that requires you to stall on the turtles. With the whale shark shit, like, you don't have to worry about, like, the sharks are perb, like, getting clocked down. But you do have the brulee support on the waifus as well. That is kind of important, so that way you can actually get the waifu special to pop off first to give some more cooldowns that way. And it all works out pretty hunky-dory. They're great, though, because they remove paralysis, they remove attack down, which is very prevalent in this Super Boss Kazuna, as well as they give color affinity to free spirit units, which is awesome. On stage 2, you come up against Frankie, who gives you 2 turns of despair, or 5 turns, 2 after sockets. And that's basically all he does. You don't have to really worry about anything else. If you're using Snake Man Luffy, the new Super Sugo first character, you can actually pop his special on this particular stage to kill Frankie. It is important that you do that, so that way you have enough damage to take out Frankie, as he's got like 10, 15, and 20 million HP. Frankie has... How much HP do you have, Frankie? He has the 10 million mark, which is still quite a lot of HP for a stage 2 boss. So utilizing Snake Man there actually helps us out drastically. You can also get the Super Tandem as well. The Super Tandem of Gear 4 Luffy could help you guys out a little bit there. On the final stage against Top Musica, you get 8 turns of attack down, 1 turn of paralysis. She's immune to everything except for extra damage taken, and that's why Yamato's so good here. On stage 2 against Frankie, you got your special reversed, and you got a good lock. That's another thing that Frankie actually does. And it can be very annoying for most teams to actually stall out the cooldowns. However, with Snake Man, you can get 2 turns of cooldowns with his super type, making Psy characters super type as well. You can switch with Sop. That way you get the 30% extra damage for free spirits and shooters. Then you can use their special for a 2.25 delay conditional, as well as a 1,250 base stat boost. You can remove the paralysis and the attack down with the waifus, as well as get a 2.5 color affinity. Yamato is going to give you Wano orbs after you swap with Sop, and give you a chain boost at 1.3 times, and a 1.75 conditional boost, extra damage boost. Then you can use Super Tandem Luffy to actually get a 3.25 orb boost, activate his super class to get free spirits as super class units, and to turn the orb move into a 3.5. And then finally, we can wrap it up with our boy Sanji, the rare recruit Sanji, to get a 2.25 chain boundary effect. Now we're going to start the chain with Luffy, then hit with the waifus, then hit with Sanji to activate the super tandem so our free spirits get the 2.5 times attack, and then we can wrap it up with Yamato there to hit for 50 billion damage with a 1.2 times multiplier. Now, if you have a level 5 Final Tap Luffy, I think that does a little bit more damage than a Final Tap level 5 Yamato. However, my Yamato's only level 99 as well, so you could get those numbers even higher if you got her at level 150, and you could do some pretty crazy things that way. But that was the Int variation of Top Musica, or Uta, and yeah, this team has some serious kick. Like, I think it can do upwards of like just under 60 million HP, or 60 billion damage, sorry. But if you guys managed to hit it at the 1.5, I was focusing on other super bosses for my alliance. Didn't really get a chance to test this one too much, besides when I had to increase the multiplier. Let's take a look at the next super boss now. Alright, so the next super boss is the Strength super boss, and this particular team changed drastically. We actually went through 3 different teams before we got to this one, and this particular team does absolute bits. It's a combination of Super Tandem Luffy, as well as Super Tandem Shanks. So that's the team. Those are the supports. Let's dive in. Now, if you guys, like, managed to figure this team out, or you had this team, you could also use Corazon on Lord, the quick Corazon, instead of Grandpa Hio, as a support for 2 turns of attack down. Those 2 supports have been so exclusive and have stood the test of time that they were just so good for this particular Super Boss. And it's really, really nice to see, but unfortunately they are so exclusive that I do feel bad for most people that don't actually have them. But for this particular team, it worked out pretty damn nicely. Now, on turn 1, you get your cooldowns, your super swaps, all that good stuff. And because we have a Luffy on the team, and because we have a Shanks on the team, you can get like all of the super tandem shenanigans, which is really, really cool. Now, on stage 2, you actually get 3 turns of Chain Lock, and Zoro has a barrier. He also turns into either a Dex or a Psy character, and this is where we're actually going to activate our Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo special. Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo also have the support of Marco to get around the Chain Lock there. Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo give us 3 turns of a chain boundary effect and an orb boost to our shooters and our quick characters. And then what you can do here, if you have a super tandem ability of Shanks, you can just absolutely decimate this particular stage, which is hilarious. Even if the enemy is in the Dex variant. Even if Zoro turns Dex and you have your super tandem friend Shanks at level 5, you just hit with Ben Beckman and then hit with Shanks and then you're good to go. Now, Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo aren't actually boosted under Luffy, so just be mindful of that. You have to be mindful of that. This is just showcase. We did have to be mindful of that, as they don't do a lot of damage. On the final stage against Uta, you get 8 turns of attack down, 2 turns of despair after sockets, as well as her being immune to basically everything, which is so annoying, and that's why Sop Sop was so freaking good for this particular Kazuna. Obviously, Sop Sop's going to be good moving forward anyway. You can switch with them, get the resistance for free spirits and shooters by 30%. Then you can use their special for a conditional boost at 2.25, as well as a 1,250 base stat boost to our free spirit and our shooter characters. And then we can use our boy, Super Tandem Shanks. Utilizing Super Tandem Shanks is going to allow us to get a 2.75 times color affinity boost, as well as a 1.4 times chain boost, and give us those nice tandem orbs to activate that ability. Then we can actually utilize the super type of Shanks to not only turn our quick characters into super type characters, but then we can turn our color affinity into a 3 times color affinity, which is absolutely massive. Then we can wrap it off with Law for the attack boost, 2.75, as well as those chain shenanigans, 0.6 when you hit a perfect. You got Luffy to give you a 3.5 times orb boost after you use his super type as well, or super class. You also turn free spirit characters into super classes, which is Shanks, which is Usopp and Yasop, which is also, what's his name, Law. And then finally, we can remove the rest of the attack down with Uta. Now with Uta, she actually has the support of the new Kazuna Shanks. That support of Shanks actually gives a 1.25 base stat boost to either Uta or Luffy or some of the other redhead pirates, and that means Uta hits incredibly hard. I actually got my Uta to level 150, we cotton candied her out, and she's going to hit ridiculously good numbers on the final stage of this super boss. And with her double special activation, she can remove 4 turns of attack down, as well as the despair, but Luffy takes care of that for us. So, Uta is just basically our big damage dealer here. However, like I said, we did need to be mindful that Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo aren't actually boosted on this team. So we are going to start the chain with them, because they basically don't hit hard. They're just basically here for our chain boundary and the Marcono support. However, I actually hit in the incorrect order. So if you actually attack with Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo, then Luffy, you'll actually get a little bit more damage than what you actually see here. It's not a lot, but when you are doing a lot of super boss runs, it is nice to actually get those the correct damage numbers where you see there. So there you go, 38 billion with the 1.5 times boost. Very, very nice from the combination of Super Tandem Luffy and Super Tandem Shanks. Doing some real good stuff when it comes to the super boss against Uta. We're going to wrap this one out, and then we'll move on to the next super boss. And the final super boss is actually against this Psy variation of Uta, and this is the team, those are the supports. Let's dive in. Now, this particular team only changed a little bit from Snowman's original team. Now, if you guys checked out my original video, shout out to Snowman. We actually used his double Uta Kaido-led team. But we did find another way to actually make it a little bit stronger. And the way we did that was actually, because Uta on the final stage actually only gives a slot bind for like 10 turns, we could actually take 2 turns to burst Uta down and actually get a lot more damage output. We do need to stall for Kaido's special here. We needed to use 2 attacks and then kill the turtles on the 3rd turn. So that way we can just get Kaido's special ready to go for an actual conditional on the final stage as well. Now, the team I initially put out was like an X-Ray comp of it. It was a little bit different to Snowman's team. But this particular team is sort of derived directly from his. With Chopper and the Neko support, we can get around the 1 turn of attack down that Oven provides on stage 2. Then we can actually activate our friend Captain Uta. Very important that you activate your friend Captain Uta, not your own, your friend Captain Uta. On stage 2, not stage 1, on stage 2. On the final stage against Uta, she is going to give us 8 turns of attack down, which is obviously across the board. You can't use an orb boost on this particular fight. And she has 1 turn of damage reduction, and she's immune to everything except for additional damage. Switching with page 1 ulti gives you 2 turns of a chain boundary effect, which is awesome. You can then use their special for a 2.25 conditional boost, and you have the carryover effect of the attack and orb boost for Cerebral and Strikers from Uta. Activating Robin Jinbei is going to give you base stats, and then Brook can give you the chain, like, shenanigans, that chain multiplier. Then you've got Chopper to give you color affinity, 50% extra damage for the resistance for Cerebrals. And then you can also get the carryover effect to get color affinity on the next turn. Finally, we can wrap it up with our Uta special. And the reason we want to use our Uta special second is because she has that Shanks support once again to give herself 1.25 times base stats. She's also then going to rotate all of our orbs into int orbs and give us a 1.4 times chain boost for 3 turns. After we've done that, we can activate the super class of Shanks. Not Shanks. Superclass of Kaido. The Superclass of Kaido is going to give us the Tandem Orbs and the Wano slots to hit very, very hard, as well as give us the... what's it called? The Super Striker. So Uta is a Super Cerebral Super Striker combination, meaning that the 2 Utas, once again, are doing all of our damage. But remember, this particular team is actually bursting on 2 turns. So on the first turn, we are sort of getting the the first lot of damage, and then on the second turn, we'll actually have Uta with her 3.25 times attack and that 2.75 times orb. We have the level 5 final tap for 28 billion damage, and then on the second turn, we actually get all of our slots binded, like for I think it's 10 turns or 5 turns, but everyone's actually immune to that. Well, the Utas are immune to that. That's the main thing, as well as page 1 ulti to get that Tandem Orb. Which works out really nicely, because then we can use Kaido's special to get the conditional boost for the second turn. We get the color affinity carrier from Chopper as well, which is awesome. And then because we have the attack and orb boost, we can actually attack once again against Uta with our Utas. Wow, that was weird. And with that final tap, we can do another 18 billion damage, which is actually wild. And all the way up to like level 30, whatever boss we're at, we actually got the 3rd attack in, which was pretty nuts. Because it just meant, like, we had that chain boost, which was kind of cool. Then we had the super tandem of Kaido still, because we had the orb lock shenanigans. And we actually just managed to get a little bit of extra damage here. Nothing too crazy. I want to say it was 287 million. Might have been 2 billion, but it looked more like 287 million. So once you add all of that together, you get a nice chunky amount of damage that looks like 47 billion. And I actually had a little bit more, actually, on top of that if your Uta friend captain's level 150. So there you guys go, big numbers. We love to see big numbers. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, belt the like button for me. Like I said at the start, hit the big red subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Most importantly, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Late!